So I am talking to my dear friend Joan Lang, who I have been friends with since I was a uh, attempting journalist in my 20s, and she was already an experienced food writer at that point. And one of the things we've always talked about uh, is our various battles and struggles and perspectives on what is a productive life and when are we productive enough and what is the value and burden of being productive. And I wanted to just thank Joan for talking with me because we always have great conversations, and ask her to talk about her productivity today and this during this period when the pandemic is really turning that upside down for many people.
Yeah, so I'm actually working more now than I have in a while. And it's keeping me, it's keeping my mind off what's going on. And it gives me something to be irritated with instead of what's going on in the world and the politics of it and all of those things that have got us really upset right now. But I also find myself wishing that I had the kind of free time that a lot of people are struggling with now, because I think that they're coming to realizations and they're doing projects that they might not have found their way to. And so I wish I had that.
Yeah, um, I totally get that because I think for me and for a lot of people, work actually is therapy because you get to focus on one thing and get things done, and the rest of the internal world kind of disappears often at work. But at the same time, when you're doing that one thing, you're not doing the other things that make life um, in some ways richer, or you're missing sort of the profound moments that you only get when you are reflecting and you don't really feel pressure to meet a deadline. And I always feel like it's really hard to be on the right side of that, that there's the grass is always greener in some ways. Is that a reality for you?
Nah, I know it should be. Um, and in some part of my brain, I know that I'm entitled to do that. But I guess really I'm just too invested in having that sort of definition of myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you've been a super productive journalist and writer and food tester for decades, and it is hard to not have those identities be super central to who we are. um, I remember when I was starting my 2-year travel experiment, where I didn't work for 2 years, and that was just 2.5 years ago that I did that. I've just been back home for 6 months. And even though I really wanted to change my thinking and not just view myself in terms of being a productivity machine, you probably remember I called you, in tears because I was unable to really uh, accept that I didn't have my clients and my work, and I didn't feel like I had a purpose. And I also suddenly felt jealous of my friends who were still working and achieving things. And I'd say I was sort of in that state on and off for about, I don't know, the first 3 or 4 months. And then throughout the whole 2 years, I'd kind of go back in and out of, was it okay for me to be spending my time on activities that felt rewarding but not productive? You know,
yeah, yeah. I mean, you seem to have been really torturing yourself over that, and I say that with no judgment, but I know that you've struggled with it.
right.
Um,
Though I did get used to it. I did adapt.
Yes, and it was even fun, and no lightning struck you, and no big gaping maw opened up underneath your feet. Well, we literally have to find time. We have to schedule time for ourselves the way a lot of us lead our lives. We have to validate that it's important for us. We have to be okay with it being important for us, and we have to schedule time for it if we're busy with whatever, whether it's raising children or deadlines or uh, client appointments. And it it's like couples that need to schedule time for dates or even sex, just to try and fit it into their lives.
Like for me, feeling efficient is the opposite of feeling um, whatever I need to feel to really connect to the moment. Like efficiency is me burrowing through reality to get something done, and either trying to ignore things or pushing them aside and being in a tunnel. And I have a hard time switching from that to that other more reflective, connective state. And I remember when I used to come home from work and try to turn into being a mother of younger children, that I always found that very difficult, because when I was connected and relaxed, my children were endlessly interesting, and I could ride the waves of parenting well. But when I came home from work, they were actually just in my way, because I was still like, let's get things done, snap, snap.
Right.
And that was always a disaster. And I actually had the same thing connecting with myself, or with my husband, or I find it very hard to switch those states, though it's necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you were saying that, I kept envisioning laying on your back in the grass, looking up at well, hopefully not looking directly at the sun, but just those moments when you watch the clouds passing and you're just there. And how often do any of us get those things unless we try very hard to allow ourselves to? I mean, people who can just do that are so lucky.
So now I want us to have like a phone call or a Zoom call, when we're both just lying in our yards or wherever it is, just looking at the clouds and just like riffing on whatever comes into our mind,
Right.
just seeing what that's like.
Yeah.
That would be so much fun. So, well, maybe we should get off our Zoom, but can I just give you a quick call? Just
Yeah.
to talk to you the way
Absolutely.
we normally talk for a second?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.